This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Howdy, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another edition of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com and The Crypt and iTunes and all over the place.
You're listening on one of those.
Yeah, one of those. If you're not listening, then...
why are you here?
Yeah, and how are you hearing us? This is very, very strange. I don't know where I am, so there we go. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. Should we talk about why we've had such prolonged absence?
Oh, there's all sorts of things that happen.
Personal stuff?
Yeah. My dad had pneumonia, and he was close to death at one point.
Yeah.
But he's recovered through the miracle of prayer.
And he's 178 years old.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, he thinks his God has delivered him, so he's cool.
His personal God? I wish I had a personal God.
Yeah, well, God must really love him because he's keeping him around even longer than he should be.
Oh, jeez. I was raised without a church of my own choice, so there you go. Yeah. Well, I would have chosen a church much more interesting than the Catholic Church.
Like what?
I don't know. Something, I don't know, maybe the Church of the Subgenius. You know, something that encourages nudity. Nudity and drinking and smoking.
Well, if it's just a bunch of men nude, I don't think so.
Oh, no. The Church of the Subgenius has many distaff members. Oh, yeah. All right, well, we got so much to catch up on here.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, all right, I will. Barreling right along, let's talk about The Walking Dead as usual. This will be full of spoilers, so if you're not caught up on The Walking Dead, or if you're one of those people who's trapped in England, do you know they're a whole season behind us in England?
Yeah, well, it's so easy for them to go download the seasons and watch them ahead of time.
But I don't understand why. What possible reason is there for stalling these folks?
Well, it used to be a lot. We used to be separated a lot more so that they could pull that off. Yeah. But nowadays, with the internet and streaming and all that stuff, there's no reason for them to be a year behind.
It's odd. It's odd. The only thing I can think is that they want to squeeze them for the DVD release when it comes out.
Oh, no, I know what it is. They're redubbing them into British.
Oh, yeah, British. Yeah. They're taking the American accent off the Rick Grimes character. Andrew Lincoln is back to using his proper English accent. Lauren Cohen is also English, and of course the guy who played the governor is English too. So there's quite a few Anglos in the show. I often wonder about that. Why English actors are hired to play Americans.
Because they look American.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Can't really tell an American just by looking at them.
No, especially the Southern Americans, you know.
Ooh.
You know, Rick looks very American, even though he's British.
He does. Well, he's got that big gun, which really makes him look American.
And they're doing a great job on his accent because he really does sound like a hick. You know,
I wouldn't call him a hick.
Well, one of these guys that take no fuss guys. You can get real serious real quick.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he certainly can be. Not a lot of laughs in this fifth season so far. But,
other than a lot of killing.
Oh, a lot of killing. I am finding this fifth season really barreling along. The first two episodes anyway really moved at a quick pace.
Yeah, they've slowed down somewhat since.
They have. The third episode, which was called Four Walls and a Roof, that episode sort of wrapped up a lot of things. It wrapped up the evil cannibal group that had hold of them, and Rick got to fulfill his promise to Gareth, the leader of the cannibals, that he was going to cut him up with the red-handled machete. And sure enough, it's been very entertaining. And I really think I wrote something about this on The Crypt, but I really think that the book which I absolutely adore, The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is about a post-apocalyptic world in which father and son, never named, but they're just trying to make their way south, hoping for better weather because it's nuclear winter and the sun is gone
and food is very scarce.
There's nothing but canned food and other people. So the cannibalistic thing is certainly not a new idea. It wasn't new when The Road came out with it. But The Road is as close to a zombie movie, yet not fictional. And it is fiction, obviously, but it's realistic fiction as opposed to zombies, which no matter what they tell you on the morning news is probably not quite going to happen.
And quit using the Z word. Or Z word.
Oh, well, we'll be talking about Z Nation.
My son the other day, my son the other day said, you know why they don't call them zombies in The Walking Dead? He says it's because it's in a universe where zombies, there were never films about zombies.
No, so George Romero was a car wash attendant.
Yeah, and I went and looked at him, I said, you know, I could have sworn I've seen a couple of the characters call them zombies in the shows.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think once or twice they actually referred to them.
No, I think they've been very, very careful, and I don't know if it's a copyright issue, but I don't think in the comics the word zombie is ever used either. It's and every group that they run into has got a different name for them. In last night's episode, or was it Sunday night's episode, in which was called Slabland, Slabtown. We finally find out what happened to the vanished Beth from last season, and she wakes up and she's in the clutches of a little group of cops who are sort of keeping order, but it's breaking down, and there's nut jobs among them who are super violent and rapey and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of
nasty.
I kind of wondered about some of the characters in the hospital there, especially the police. You know, there was that one guy that obviously wants to usurp power.
Yeah, Gorman. And then there's his superior, that woman. Dawn.
Now, Dawn wouldn't put up with that. She would get rid of him right away as soon as he starts making these, little...
Yeah, but he's useful otherwise, and she...
Yes, but she should be afraid of him.
But it is explained. The doctor explains it. She's holding on to authority, but just barely. And the reason that she doesn't, force her hand is that the male cops would just go, no, shut up, Dawn, we're not listening to you, you dumb
Well, why
shit.
haven't they done that already is the question.
Well, because she saved them. Their original leader was a man, and I think perhaps romantically involved with Dawn, and he screwed up, and there were several deaths, so she killed the original leader and took over. So, she's an alpha. She definitely is in charge. But she's in charge of a bunch of wingnuts and a bunch of alpha males herself. So, it's always going to be tenuous. And certainly she could take a baton to the back of the head any time that one of the cops, like Gorman. Gorman just wants to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah,
so
he wants...
Pretty young woman comes in unconscious. Hey, sex time.
Yeah.
He's an animal. He's a swine. A real pig. So...
And he gets his...
Oh, yeah, well, everybody eventually in this show, everybody eventually gets what's coming to them. It seems like any group... And the nice guys also get what's coming to them, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Everybody dies.
Those are the ones that get their cameo or a show that centers in on them, and then they kill them.
Yeah.
But the bad guys, it seems like every group that they come across is on the brink of collapse, and then everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
And then our main characters kind of tra-la-la off to the next group.
Yeah. But the thing about the reason that there's so many groups composed of evil people is because all the good ones have already been killed. They've either been murdered, they've been eaten, or,
it's
It is survival of the fittest, and unfortunately the fittest are the most ruthless and unfeeling.
Right.
So, that's why our group is special, because they are still maintaining their humanity. But
to a point.
Is it ever fading fast? Because Rick, we've now seen Rick absolutely slice and dice two men to death.
Yeah.
Like chop, chop, chop until they're slush.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that was the thing.
He did it to the guy who was going to molest Carl. He turned that guy into a mound of stabbing. So it was
and again in that show
with
that
the machete.
Yeah. Now, see, there's a difference between lopping somebody's head off and making them mush.
Yeah,
he's lost it.
But he's already been crazy. Like he's already been hallucinating and seeing his
dead
wife. You know,
when's she coming back? I want to.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I think she's on her way back.
Yeah. So, okay. Now there's another show on which it's amazing to me that it's taken this long for another zombie series to appear on American television. This one being produced by Syfy, which is not known for quality productions. And I have to say, I didn't like this series when it first started, but it has grown on me. It put its disease in me. It's called Z Nation. It stars Kalita Smith as Warren, Russell Hodgkinson as Doc, Pissy Powell as Cassandra, Tom Everett Scott as Garnett, Nat Zhang as 10,000. Nice name, Nat Zhang. Sounds like a Batman TV show sound effect. DJ Qualls as Citizen Z. I said in a review I wrote online that DJ Qualls looks like an overgrown hobbit.
Oh, yeah.
He's tall. He's got a long, funny nose. He's kind of gawky. And his character is interesting. He's in a unique situation. He's stuck up at a listening post, a great electronic listening post for the CIA types up in near the North Pole.
Yeah.
And everybody else is bugged out when the zombie apocalypse went. Actually, it was some years after the zombie apocalypse. The Z Nation is taking place 3 years after the apocalypse. So everybody is already, this is well in hand.
Yeah.
And
which explains why they can kill these guys so easily. These zombies in this show are slower.
No.
To some extent.
No, it depends on how old they are.
Yeah.
Because a zombie, somebody who's just been killed, comes back and runs at you full speed. There's no running in Walking Dead. In Z Nation, you have a great spectrum. You have super fast ones, and they're also super strong. Like they're like the ones in the movies. They can leap off tall buildings and then still come running at you.
I've only watched the first 3 episodes, and from what I've seen is, yes, you do have your faster ones, but the way they were going through them, these guys are so good at killing that it's like stab. They're just walking right through them.
Yeah.
And the zombies don't have... all they do is kind of like want to bite you.
Yeah, the menace isn't there compared to The Walking Dead.
Yeah, you can push them away really quite easily compared to The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's annoying that way. The only advantage that the zombies have in Z Nation is that there's millions of them.
Yes, and I love the fact that the way some of the things they do them, like that, they bowl over them with a truck, and they find one in the wheel well there, they take off the wheel and there's that's all wonderfully done.
Yes,
really well done.
Good effects. Well, in the first movie, there's a little baby.
I like the baby.
Little baby in a carrier, and the poor little baby he's not even a toddler. He's truly like a little baby. Can't walk or anything.
An infant.
And as soon as he gets bitten, man, he's running around. He's like the Flash. He's like running and leaping, and he doesn't even have teeth. What's he gonna do? Drool on you?
That's what hooked me on this series. Actually, is because of that little baby. I went, that's something you don't see in The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Well, short of Judith, turning into a zombie, and for a while there we thought Judith had turned into
but when an infant
fodder.
Can turn and then start jumping around like a jumping bean.
Doesn't the little baby kill somebody too?
Does.
Yeah, which is pretty hard to believe. Short of picking the baby up and using it as a club, I don't see how a little toothless baby is going to kill anybody. And I like the fact that some
of the animals have been turned as well.
Yes, yeah, they talk about that.
And there was some dogs up north. One that dog up north.
That's right.
I thought, hey, why keep it just to humans?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I want to see killer squirrels, killer rabbits,
Right. there was a mention in the most recent episode, which was on last Friday, that so and so says, well, we were pretty secure, we were out in the middle of the plains and everything was cool. We run into a zombie buffalo every now and then.
That's good.
That's like a big 600-pound zombie buffalo coming at you.
I wonder how fast those move.
Yeah, well, it depends. Again, in this world, depends how recently they were killed.
Fresh.
Yeah. Which is a nice variation on the zombie thing.
Well, that's the thing. This show really moves. It moves along quick.
It's got to, because it hasn't got the production values.
Yeah.
It's got none of the class, I would say. And the writing is also subpar compared to The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is like, it's like a movie they spent $50 million on. And Z Nation is like the movie they spent a couple of $1 million on. It can still be worth watching. It can still be entertaining, but it's not slick. It's not.
Well, I think that they're doing a decent job with the special effects so far.
It's way better than most of what you see from
on the Sci-Fi channel. On their movies. Yeah.
I saw something on Facebook being passed around. Sci-Fi has admitted publicly, whoever their boss is, has admitted that they lost the script. They went way off track, and they forgot what they were supposed to be doing, and so they're going to make an attempt to get back to that, considering how much fantasy and science fiction and horror has come to the fore in the last few years. Sci-Fi Channel has pretty much been left out, with the exception of Sharknado and the even more entertaining Sharknado 2.
Yeah,
I've never enjoyed a movie.
Well, I have, just for the laughs.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. None of them are good movies.
They're not serious movies.
You can laugh at them, but they're not good movies. Like, you're not going to go back and watch it again.
No, not typically, no.
No, as opposed to, say, HBO or even the AMC, the channel that's producing the best TV series going these days, the best dramatic series going. I'm still missing. And have you heard this theory? And it seems to be backed up, like intentionally done, that it was Walter White from Breaking Bad. It was Walter White's blue crystal meth that caused the zombie apocalypse. You remember in a very early episode, I think it's the second episode, when Glenn and Rick and the group go back into the city to try to rescue Merle, and Glenn winds up in that really fancy red sports car.
Oh, yeah?
That's the car. That is the same car that Walter bought his son in Breaking Bad when Walter was going a little wacky and he had lots of money to dispose of, and he bought his son, his teenage son, this unbelievably powerful red sports car. This is the car. Because the wife said, no, you take that damn car back. This is not appropriate. And it's just plain dangerous anyway. So Walter took it back, and guess who bought it? And guess who found it,
Yeah. Well, maybe that's just a nod to the series.
No, there are other mentions. You have to check online, folks, but it's really, really funny. And it really does seem to have several parallels. They're both AMC series, right? So they're definite possibility of crossovers, and it seems to be more than coincidence. It seems to be that the Walking Dead producers are going, yeah, that's funny. Let's do that. And even before, because it cut both ways, even before Breaking Bad had ended its last episode, there were references that something terrible could be coming, So I love it. I think there's a mention somewhere in an early episode of Walking Dead that somebody thinks that it may have broken out in Albuquerque, which is of course where Breaking Bad takes place. That's where Walter lives. Now, one other TV show, we talked last year about the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes in general. Let's just a quick mention about this year's Treehouse of Horror, which was 25.
I thought it was pretty risky.
It's better than they have been, but I'm still not a big fan of the current crop of Simpsons. I haven't enjoyed the show for about 10 years. Not as much as I enjoyed the first 10 years. Say.
Yeah. Well, everybody says that.
Everybody? Well, I wish they'd change it up then. It's time for another change, Simpsons folks. So this had 3 episodes, as usual. One about an alternate dimension. The funniest one to me was the takeoff on A Clockwork Orange, A Clockwork Mo, I think it was called.
Yeah. And they did a really good job.
It was funny.
I love the fact that they brought that statue that in the show, in the movie, it's a giant penis.
Right.
And they made it into something else. Right. I just laughed when I saw that.
Right.
And they've used the makeup before in Halloween shows. With the eye makeup.
Yeah, Alex's makeup.
Yeah, they've used it. Maggie has been dressed up like that before, so they took it that much further this time and parodied the whole movie.
With the little derby.
And I think that Homer really looked the part of the person that he was portraying in the movie again.
And who was he?
He was one of the thugs.
Dim.
Yeah.
He would have been Dim.
Yeah,
That's right. And then the third one they had was the original Simpsons from the Tracy Ullman show.
Oh, yeah.
Showed up, and there was a sort of a battle, and
Marge
winds up falling for the original Homer, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. Was that? No, it was the other way around. It was.
Homer falls for the original Marge. Right.
Yeah.
She's sweeter.
A little less tainted.
Yeah. A little less cynical and So it was cute. I'm not as big a fan as all the raving I see online about it, but I thought the Clockwork parody was funny. I always think their Treehouse of Horror episodes where they do a parody are the funniest ones.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed that. They've done a lot of good takeoffs on Twilight Zone and Outer Limits episodes.
Yeah.
Classics.
So this one was, I was pleased with it.
Good.
Considering.
Now, I want to apologize to the good folks who made the movie Lucid. That is Marion Kerr and Kevin K. Shah. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It's just a short. We were asked to take a look at it, and I was happy to, but I screwed up when I was writing out my notes about who the creators were. There's another movie called Lucid, and I used the credits from that rather than the proper one. So I want to say that there's an excellent short, and it's about a young woman played by the co-writer of this movie, Marion Kerr. She plays Karen, and she keeps waking up from these horrible dreams in which her husband is killing her, or she's having to kill her husband because he's trying to kill her, and these dreams keep sort of picking up where they left off. So the horror just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
And it's having a toll on her to the point where, is this foreshadowing? Are the dreams making her so crazy that she's going to wind up acting out what she's only been dreaming about? So it's like a horrible loop. And it's wonderful. It's really good.
Well, you have to wonder, okay, why am I having these dreams? Is this something that I really want to do? Or is something that's coming, my subconscious is seeing that I'm not aware of, but it's there?
It's great. It's got a wonderful, wonderful twist at the end. I hope they make a feature from it, because they certainly could. It's very, 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 very well done. So who else is in that? Ross Marquand plays Sam, her husband, and Christina Rose plays Christina in it. But Marion Kerr really carries this movie. Excellent stuff. Lucid, it's called. If you can find it, if you can see it at a fest or whatever, then do, because it's terrific.
Okay,
now, big movie, Annabelle. Big movie from this year, directed by John R. Leonetti, written by Gary Dauberman. It stars Annabelle Wallis as Mia, Ward Horton as her husband John, Tony Amendola as Father Perez. People might remember him as the dude in Seinfeld who winds up with Terry Hatcher's character.
You always get... it always comes back to Seinfeld.
Because everybody was on Seinfeld at least once. Everybody working in Hollywood was on that. I mean, John Voight was on that show once.
Was he?
He was, but only to bite Kramer. That's the only thing that he does is Kramer sticks his hand into the car and John Voight bites him on the arm. He might be a zombie. And Alfre Woodard plays Evelyn, a bookshop owner who's sort of an interfering type.
Yeah, I was just
pointless character.
Well, not pointless to the storyline at the end, but at the same time, I was kind of wondering if she was going to betray everybody.
Yeah, I know.
I kept suspecting there was an alternative motive.
I think they may have shot a couple of endings, and there is one probably in which she turns out to be in league with the demons.
Yeah.
But it turns out, well, okay, we're giving too much away here, but it's an extremely uneven movie, and I found it very unsatisfying, and I think this is the movie. It's not really a prequel, but it keys off. If it wasn't Insidious, it was another movie by James Wan. What was the name of it? It'll come to me. It was just out in theaters last year, but you see the doll Annabelle in a glass case with a handmade sign on front, do not release.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Boy, I'd have that case open so quickly. I don't play with dolls, but I'd be playing with that one. Come on, Annabelle, wake up, do something. So
I didn't. My opinion of this movie is a little less rigid as yours. I thought it was okay. It was an okay movie. It wasn't a great movie, but at the same time, I was entertained. The little things that were happening. I thought it could be a little more suspenseful.
Right.
But then again, that would make it like all the other doll movies out there.
Really?
Yeah, to me...
How would it be more dull if it was more suspenseful?
Well, no, doll movies.
Oh, doll. Oh, sorry.
Doll movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because all these Chucky movies and everything, they're always centering in on the doll.
Right.
Well, this one was centering in on the doll, but it also was centering on the spirits that were in the doll.
The demon. But and it isn't that it's even in the doll, it's that it's always sort of standing behind the doll.
Yeah.
The doll is just like the doorway that lets the demon in.
There were some really good scenes with the demon. I think. Especially with the dark demon that kind of comes out of the shadows.
Yes.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, those were good effects.
Yeah.
The doll never gets up and runs around. The doll never kills anybody.
It does rock in the rocker, though.
Well, but it isn't the doll that's rocking. It's the demon in the room rocking the doll just to bug Annabelle. Or Mia, rather.
Mia.
It's confusing because the doll is Annabelle and the actress's real name is Annabelle.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
Annabelle Wallace. So they start off, that is Mia and John, the loving couple, they start off very sensibly, and I like them both, because when weird things start to happen, instead of the cliched husband saying, stop being a silly woman, it's all in your imagination, she says, we've got to move. He says, no problem.
Yeah.
We're moving.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of the doll. No problem. He throws it in the garbage. I mean, he just keeps doing everything right compared to most horror movies.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, he gets stupid and stubborn and starts telling her to, shape up and stop being such a baby. But she also, partway through the movie, became unlikable for me. She started off as a rather sympathetic character, and then she just seemed to be sort of nagging at him, and maybe it's because she's got a baby and she's not getting her beauty sleep, but I just thought she turned into kind of a hag.
Well, it's the wear and tear of the whole situation.
I suppose.
She's going a little bit insane.
Yeah, but I mean, John is her rock.
Yeah.
And yet she's being nasty to him, like really petty, crappy sort of.
But I think it could be lack of sleep. It could be the fear of losing her child.
Yeah.
I mean, she becomes very possessive.
Yeah.
She still doesn't know what the hell's going on. I mean, these demons are running around, and there are some really frightful and well-done scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
a lot of red herring, stuff that just isn't really explained, like the two kids that she talks to on the stairwell, and then she finds this series of drawings in which, a woman, childish drawings of her with a baby carriage, big black baby carriage, which is what she's got, and a big truck bearing down, a series of 4 drawings, and in the last one, the truck has mashed the baby, and blood all over the road. there's no real explanation. She says, well, let's go find these kids. They never do. They never go hunting.
They do. They talk to the parent, don't they?
No. The husband says, well, we'll find out. We'll do that. And then that's just dropped. I mean, those drawings are never brought up again.
I thought they talked to the parents about it.
I didn't see that.
I saw it last night, so I think they talked to the parent.
What did the parents have to say?
They didn't know what to make of the drawings.
I don't remember that. In any case, I don't know. To me, this is just another case of a movie that looks like a horror movie, but
it is.
But it doesn't have enough horror in it. That it's style over substance. I want more substance. Like I want more consistency in the story. I want more character development rather than just a scared woman. I didn't think that the Mia character, the new mother, really developed.
Well,
she's scared for her baby, and that's her one motivation through the whole movie. But the demon could have been much more interesting. It shows her, looking at a couple of old books in Alfred Woodard's store, but they really don't get into it, and she. The priest could have been more interesting.
Yeah,
the priest comes, the priest believes her, the priest takes the doll away, the priest winds up in the hospital, and that's pretty much the end of the priest, And
yeah, I agree. There could have been a little more
depth.
Depth
is what I'm talking.
Yeah, them exploring and trying to figure out what's going on and getting to understand the demon more.
Yeah, and the fact that even John, the husband, who in most movies wouldn't be helping his wife, he'd be, looking for a shrink for her.
Yeah.
That in fact he's on board.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. That was really good. But they don't take it to the next level. But
the thing is that none of this stuff was happening to him.
No.
I know. And the thing is that maybe something should have happened to him. It's like he's got to get it, because I can't see a husband supporting his wife out, just having faith or his wife.
When it's a bunch of nutty stuff.
When there's a whole bunch of things happening and he isn't privy to any of it. Right. And it's like always outside of his glance.
Yeah.
It's in another room.
Yeah.
Or he just gets home and she's in a hysterical state.
Right.
So it's like if he maybe was doing the research on demons or something to include him.
Like in Mama, everybody eventually gets involved. I mean, the husband, the uncle of the two little girls who are, Mama is their guardian.
Yeah.
He's standing in the hallway and he sees like the portal to hell open up, and then he's blasted out through the banister and almost breaks his back. So everybody is involved in that movie.
When you think about it, the movie in itself hits all the right chords with certain areas, but other areas are completely vacuous.
Yeah.
The character development is what's really missing in this.
Yeah, which is what gives any story depth, whether it's written or
because it had the special effects, it had the look.
Yeah,
it looked fine.
Yeah.
But there should have been a little more about what the hell this demon's all about.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of.
And there's almost throwaway characters.
Yeah, lots of red herrings, like the noisy neighbors upstairs. I was sure that was going to go somewhere. But it turns out now there's just jerks living upstairs. That doesn't... And considering the amount of noise that's coming from Annabelle's apartment, nobody's complaining in that building, I guess. And some really nice...
A lot of hysterical screaming.
Yes, a lot of that. There's a really nice scene in which she's down in the basement. It's dark as hell, and then the power goes out as well. And she's got a flashlight with her, which of course everybody always carries a flashlight.
I know I do. It's called a phone.
Yeah, but doesn't she have an actual flashlight?
No. Yeah,
she has a flashlight.
Nobody else had cells in this. I'm thinking that.
No, this is set in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end they put up a thing saying something about what happened to the character or something like that. She's living in so and so, like it's a real story.
The Annabelle story is supposed to be a true story. True in the way that oddball couple who, are the only ordained exorcists, that wacky-do couple. Ed and whatever her name is. They're the ones who have Annabelle in the glass case and that.
Right.
The wife of the exorcist, she supposedly says that she never seen a more evil presence than that doll.
But the thing is, it wasn't the doll, it was the demon outside the doll.
Yeah, it was the demon's doll, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they never explained what was so special about that doll that when he gave it to her at the beginning of the movie, she says, I've been looking for it all over. Why?
She's a collector. She's got a room full of dolls.
So what was so special about this one doll?
Because it's an antique doll. And it's got the same wedding dress costume that some other dolls she's got. So that's like completes her collection. She says that. That's explained. But it's and
it isn't
great.
Possessed at the time. It becomes possessed.
It becomes possessed because a young man and young woman break into their house.
Actually, the neighbor's house.
No, they murder the people next door, and when the husband goes next door, they break into.
That's right. Then they come
house.
Across.
Yeah. So they break into Mia and John's house, and they have time to perform a ritual in which a demon is called and possesses or makes a special friend of the doll Annabelle. So, but it's just they hit the plot points they have to A, B, C, but there's nothing between A and B. It's just empty space. Now a movie that for me was probably the best ghost story I've seen in the last 6 months. It's a Chinese movie out of Hong Kong called Rigor Mortis. Year it was released is 2013, although I don't think it's widely seen in North America. Directed by Juno Mak, who's a well-known Chinese director. Written by Lei Yin Lung and Philip Young. It stars Anthony Chan, Slu Ho Chin, Fat Chung, Kara Hui, and Giselle Lam and Billy Lau. So, this is a movie about zombies, ghosts, vampires.
Yeah.
and all taken from the Chinese perspective. So, I liked it because it's a nice spin. It isn't your standard Western Catholic demons. These are Chinese demons, and the rituals involved and the monsters themselves and the people's reaction to these monsters is Chinese, and therefore very refreshing to my jaded Western eyes.
It's this guy. He moves into a
young man.
A young man. Okay. Yeah. He moves into this tenant building, kind of like this.
It's an apartment building.
Yeah. It's a huge thing where, of course, everywhere you walk, there are people in the hallways to talk to and families,
I
kids
actually
playing
thought
around.
It was fairly empty, considering the size of it. You really only see like 4 or 5 people.
There's a lot. It is quite big. It's huge, the place, and it's beautifully shot. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous movie.
Great. And this guy has moved into this building, and he wants to kill himself.
Yeah. He's going to hang himself from the rafter. And
all sorts of weird things happen when he tries to do that.
Well, he is. He's hanging, and he's rescued by this bathrobe-wearing, ninja fighter.
Yeah.
This old dude who runs the cafe, and I think he owns the building. And he's a tenant, and he has this restaurant on the ground floor, and he's like Zen master of Chinese cooking, noodle cooking, and he knows what everybody wants, and he's sort of like the godfather to everybody in the building. He's a wonderful, good force for good. But there's another old dude living in there, and another dude, and they're both wizards essentially. There's a white wizard and a black wizard, and so while they're friendly on the surface, there's a tension between them. And it's wonderful. It's also a kung fu movie.
Yeah,
it's anything and everything they've stuck into this movie, but it works. It's so entertaining.
Yes, it is. I don't understand
There's a lot of story
title,
threads.
The title of the movie, Rigor Mortis, makes no sense.
No, dead body,
But it has nothing to do with the storyline.
No.
At all.
No.
So,
it's just
other than that, it's a great movie.
It's a terrific movie, yeah. One of the threads, probably other than the young man himself, his story, but he becomes sort of like just tangentially watching and involved in everybody's life from the sideline. The majority of the horror comes from this old couple, and the husband it dies, and the wife can't bear that her husband is gone, so she begs the black witch, the black sorcerer, to bring him back to life. And the guy says, yeah, sure, I can do that. Now, they do the ritual, and the sorcerer says, now there's a few things you got to do. He's got to be suspended in a coffin for a week, and the coffin cannot be allowed to touch the ground. And of course, at one point the chain comes loose, and bang, it hits the ground. The wife doesn't say anything to anybody, but now her resurrected husband isn't exactly the same dude that she left, and his face is supposed to be kept covered with this sort of veil made from Chinese coins, and she's told by the sorcerer, don't take this off. Well, she takes it off to feed him, and of course he's not eating. So yeah, he's come back, and he's not exactly a good guy anymore. And, oh my gosh. The monstrous special effects. Yes. It's just wonderful. Oh, what a great zombie.
Oh, and some of the special effects are so pretty.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yes, yeah. The fight scenes are gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just like you're in a fairyland.
Yeah.
And it's like, but real people.
Yes, it's beautifully done. It really is. It's one of the best looking horror movies I've ever seen. And
highly recommended.
Yeah, extremely so. Yeah. Now,
and the subtitles aren't that bad because there isn't really a lot of talking.
No.
There's a lot more action than there is talking, and the little talking they do, they give you just enough information to understand what the heck's going on. And you get a little insight on what all these different people, who they are, and who they represent, and there's powers and all
what they represent.
Yeah.
There's
I love the fact that the noodle house is kind of like the meeting place where everybody goes, and they're all there, and they're staring at each other and talking about each other.
Well, I get the idea that people aren't cooking in their little apartments.
Yeah.
That this is like the kitchen for the whole building. So it's sort of the heart of the building. Yeah. And everybody does gather there, and it's a meeting place, and it's a common ground. Even the black sorcerer is welcome there.
Well, that's the way I think in a lot of Asian states that a lot of people don't cook at home. There's noodle houses all over the place, especially in the larger cities.
Right.
And they're so cheap that you can afford to go there and eat just about every day.
Well, if you're just eating noodles.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have other things other than noodles as well. They have their duck and their whatever.
Well, there are plenty of places that just specialize in noodles.
Yeah.
You see that in Vancouver. You see these Vietnamese noodle houses. They have other dishes, but their main
specialty.
Their specialty is noodles, Japanese parody comedy, Tampopo was the main thread in that. Was the search for the perfect noodle. Perfect noodle recipe, Okay, I got one more on my list here. It's a movie from 2013 called Blue Ruin, written and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. It stars Mason Blair as Dwight, Devin Rattray as Ben Gaffney, Amy Hargreaves as Sam, Kevin Kollick as Teddy Cleland, and Eve Plum as Chris Cleland. You might remember Eve Plum as the middle sister on the Brady Bunch.
Oh.
You thought I was going to say on Seinfeld. No, Eve Plum, she was always saying, Marcia, Marcia, Marcia.
Yeah.
In this, she's not.
She's immortal that way
anymore. Yeah. This is a movie about revenge, and it's about our main character Dwight is like this little dopey loser, but he's been living for revenge. He's just been waiting for this fellow to be released from prison so that he can kill him. Yeah. And the reason is that the guy who's being released from prison killed his parents, killed Dwight's parents.
I think it was his dad or something like that.
I thought it was both his parents, but now I'm not sure. Oh, I know what it was. It was that the guy in prison was having an affair
with his mom.
With the mom, and so that's the father died or was killed. Yeah,
was killed.
Yeah. So it's a horrible home situation.
Yeah.
But this is what Dwight has been living for, and Dwight's sister, I believe, Sam, is like, good. Kill him.
Yeah.
She's just as bitter, but she's not going to do the actual dirty work.
It starts off with Dwight living in a abandoned car somewhere.
Yeah.
He's basically living on the street. Yeah. He finds out that this guy's getting released, and then he's on this journey.
Yeah. He follows him into a bar. He follows the newly released bad guy into a bar. He waits in the bathroom until the bad guy comes in, and then he kills him.
Right.
But then the bad guy has a big, crazy, hillbilly inbred family, and they are going to take their revenge. So Dwight's sister Sam has a family. She's got kids and that. So now they're in danger, and it's just one thing after the other. And the sister, of course, is angry with her loser brother.
Right.
Because now her life is upside down and she's got to skedaddle or she could be killed. And it's just like this hillbilly family, they're out for revenge. It's just revenge.
And I found that it was slow, but it was interesting.
Oh, really, really fascinating.
And it really has a good payoff, a satisfying payoff.
Very much.
It's basically a story of one incident destroying two families.
Oh, yeah, and how it snowballs. It is never going to end, not until like everybody is dead.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that the slate will be wiped clean is if the slate is smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horribly sad movie. And, is it horror? Well,
and I like the way the story is told. It starts off with one incident, and then as his journey continues, more and more things are told about the incident, and more you learn more and more about how this all started as you get
why Dwight is
and it all unfolds very, very well because that's what keeps your interest through the whole thing.
It's
is
really
learning more things as he goes.
Yeah. The Blue Ruin. I'm still trying to
figure out what that
means.
Yeah. Maybe it's a term that we're unaware of or something.
So now I don't know any of the actors in this movie, with the exception of Eve Plum, who plays the mother of this group of miscreants that Dwight is menaced by, and they of course see themselves as victims because the mother was being cheated on by their father.
Yeah.
So they're all angry at their father too. So it's just like one thing after the other. And it's such a haystack of hatred, everything's interconnected and yet the whole thing just blows apart. It's just rubbish.
Yeah, and
all their reasons.
And there's a gross misunderstanding in there that you don't find out to the very end.
Right.
It is the interesting part of the movie.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed Blue Ruin. So let's wrap this up and go through the shows we talked about. How are you enjoying The Walking Dead, the 5th season?
It's only 4 shows in, but it's good.
It's a quarter over.
Yeah.
It's 25% over.
Well, of the first half.
No. Only 16 episodes.
Oh, that's
season.
right.
It's
half the first half.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's 25% over. I'm enjoying it. I find it's really barreling along. The father, what's his name? Damien? It's Gabriel. Okay, not Damien. Seth Gilliam playing Father Gabriel Stokes, who's an Episcopalian priest with his own guilty secrets.
I kind of figured what his secret was.
Yeah.
It was kind of obvious. He just locked everyone out and let them all get killed.
Yeah.
So when he sees the girl or the lady at the food bank. Yeah, he.
But they were also lovers.
Yeah.
So he's got all kinds of guilty secrets. So not only did he not let the townspeople in when they were begging for help from the approaching zombies, but he wouldn't even let his lover in. So when he sees her, and the only way that you know it's her is she's still wearing her cat glasses.
Yes. Why is a zombie wearing glasses?
Oh yeah, they just haven't fallen off. That's pretty hard to believe that she hasn't fallen over at some point in her zombie career. Lots of big, wet, soggy, stinking zombies.
And there's the question.
Ugh.
I mean, if she's a zombie and she loses her glasses, would she be blind?
Right. I don't know how these zombies with their milky white eyes can see anyway.
Right.
They seem to be able to see just fine. So good. Glad you're enjoying it, Mark. I'm certainly enjoying it. It's a good series. Z Nation, you got to catch up, Mark. It's barreling right along, and I got to say, just when you think that like the name actor that you think is going to be continuing on as the star, they bump him off. In the first episode, it was Harold Perrineau who was such a big part of Lost.
Yeah.
You think, well, here's the biggest actor in this. Wrong. He doesn't make it to the end of the first episode, and then you think it's going to be what's his name, Tom Everett Scott. You think he's going to be the main actor. Well, he only lives a few episodes, and then he's gone. So now we're down to no-name actors. Like the only thing I've seen them in, except for DJ Qualls. I've seen him around.
The guy up north.
Yeah, playing the geek.
Yeah, because
Citizen Z, he calls himself.
Anyway, he was just in he was in a comedy last year.
Yeah.
That he played a paraplegic or something.
Well, he's one of these guys. He could have taken just about any role in The Big Bang Theory. Played a nerd perfectly.
Oh yeah. He is the nerdy type.
But he's very likable, and he's the thread. He plays like it's his name, and he's also doing it in the show. He's playing like a DJ. He's and giving weather reports. Like zombie weather reports. You've got a big herd of zombies moving into the Midwest, and so the latest episode. I'll just tell you this because I thought it was amusing. There's more humor in Z Nation than Walking Dead has ever had. And one of the funny things is that they are confronted with a gigantic zombie herd, which is also a feature in The Walking Dead.
Right.
But in Z Nation, in the latest episode, they see this thing, and it's kicking up this dust storm on the plain. It's just like,
like the buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the eye can see, it's just this wall of zombies walking, and it's so big that somebody has asked, well, why don't you just go around it? You can't. It'll always catch up with you. It's so many miles across that by the time you try driving around it, they're still approaching you, so you can't get away from them. You have to just retreat. So the one survivor of the group that our core members meet up with at the beginning, when this giant herd is coming, he explains what it is. It's the million people who were in a refugee camp in Alberta, Canada. And it took a week. Once something bad happened, it took a week. Everybody turned, and now they're heading south because the zombies like warmer weather. And that's what they're doing. They're migrating south.
Hey, just like the geese. Canadian snowbirds.
like the Canadian geese. Yeah. So I guess eventually they'll settle in Florida. And then
they'll stop and have a good time.
And then once it's May, they'll start migrating north again.
Speaking of television shows, we haven't mentioned it this show, but I've really given up on Under the Dome.
Yeah, I've quit watching that.
Yeah, I mean,
it got too stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for the time period that they're allotting for what's happening. Yeah. Nobody can change that much, and how stupid are these people in this village?
Operative word here being stupid.
Yeah, I just hope that they all just suffocate in there, because that would be the best thing for them all.
Yes, that big pit in the ground just sucked them all. And
I just given up on it.
Me too. I quit watching it. I watched the short first season, and I watched a couple of episodes of the second season, but I've had it.
Yeah.
It's just annoying.
Z Nation's much better.
It is. Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, obviously we both like that. Mark's a bigger fan than I am. Lucid, do see it. Terrific short. Annabelle, I would give it a mild pass. I would give it like a C.
Yeah. It's great. Watchable.
Yeah.
But it could have been so much better.
It could have been much better with a better script and just some depth.
That's what the character development. That's what they needed.
Yep. Rigor Mortis. practically perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful horror movie.
And don't let the subtitles scare you away.
No.
Because it's a great foreign movie.
It is. It's, I wouldn't call it a foreign movie. I'd just say it's a great movie. Yeah. I love it. And Blue Ruin, another great movie and no subtitles. Really excellent movie about down-home folk continuing to wreck their own lives.
Yeah.
For the sake of revenge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's it. We're going to wrap this up. We'll be back next week with another episode. We're going to be talking about another big name release, Deliver Us from Evil. And we're also going to be talking about Jodorowsky's Dune, which is a documentary about the version of Dune that Alejandro Jodorowsky was going to make, the great Chilean Polish